Still loading. There we go. And we are live.
There we go. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. I'm sure we'll still be having people joining us over the next few minutes, but we will get started. Hopefully everyone today who is joining us has signed up for increasing audience engagement in a world of virtual fatigue. If not, stay. It's going to be great. But hopefully we really want to offer you some valuable information today, but also have a little fun on the way too. Before we get started, we did want to tell you a little bit about each of us. My name is Marianne. I am broadcasting to you from the island of Maui. Roundabout's a way of growing up in Canada. I spent my working career so far in sales and marketing, and am so excited now to be a part of the Digital Samba team. I believe so strongly in the power of video and how it can enable human connectivity. And in especially the times that we're in now, that is such a powerful tool. And I'm just so happy to be a part of an organization who is promoting that worldwide.
That was awesome, Marianne. Thanks for sharing. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin McCarthy. I am broadcasting to you today from the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. My background is kind of in live events, event production, things like that. And since the pandemic, I have transitioned over to virtual online events. So here we are today. I've been with Samba and I'm loving it.
Yeah, same. Great team that we have here. And so with that, some of you who are joining us may be familiar with us, but for those of you who are not, we wanted to tell you a little bit about ourselves. We've actually been around since 2003. So we've been doing and being in the video conferencing space for over 17 years. And I know when I talk to many of my clients who've just come across us for the first time, they find that a bit surprising. But we have actually been working in this space for a long time. We work on everything from virtual events, to helping people running good meetings, to doing online education. We're actually a leader in white labeling and OEM of video conferencing. This slide here has many of our customers that we've worked with. I'm sure everyone can recognize at least a few on here. So we're really proud of what we've been able to do. But the number one thing I think I'd want people to know about us is that our main goal, our 100% commitment, is on our customer success. Whatever your need is, whatever problem that you have, we are here to help you solve it.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Marianne.
But it's enough about us. It's now to learn a little bit about our audience. We hope that you all tell us a little bit something about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So we wanted to kind of start off after we gave our introductions by learning something about you. So I'm going to utilize our polling feature here on Samba Live. I'm going to open up a quick poll, and we hope that you will participate and let us know where you're joining us from.
All right.
Cool.
I am going to too. I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
Okay, looks like we have 2, 3 in Europe. 2
wow.
US.
None from my home base of Canada yet. Maybe they're still coming.
They're on their way.
Awesome. Well, we'll wait a few more.
Yeah,
wow, looks good, seconds. Guys.
But it looks like Europe is dominating.
Wait, excellent. Well, welcome from across the pond.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, and we have one more question for you all. Let's pop it open. We want to know, what is your primary area of interest with video conferencing, whether it be virtual events, education, webinars, you're in the right place, basic meetings, or other. So let's see what we get.
Ah,
cool.
We've got a few things here.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
okay. Mostly
good. I think
so.
Yeah, we are going to be able to touch on something from every aspect here. So you are in the right place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let me close it out and pull back open our slide deck here. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I wanted to let people know on our webinar right now that for a special thank you for joining us. As I said, we do appreciate your time. We are offering for the duration of this session 20% off any Samba Live plan if you sign up during our webinar. Caitlin is going to be putting a coupon code in the chat box on your left, and also a link to the pricing page from our website. So if during the course of our session you are interested in taking us up on that offer, you have the information available to you. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, I just popped the coupon code over in the chat
There it
box.
is.
So
Yeah, engagement webinar 797.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, as we get started, we thought we would start off with a few fun facts about 2020. So we had a few little thoughts here. One is, the first thing is, how many virtual meetings do you think you attended this year? So I'm thinking I probably attended 18,591 virtual meetings. I don't actually know the number, but I have a feeling that everyone on our webinar today probably feels like they've attended a whole lot of meetings. It could be that many.
Feels like more.
It does sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is why we're here.
Yeah. Okay. And here is what we think you probably said the most this year. The first being, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Or, can everyone see my screen sharing?
Yep.
I've heard that one.
Every time, it seems like. There's only 10 minutes left. Should we jump back on the call?
Should we? My personal favorite. Can someone invite Dave to the meeting? Dave's one of our colleagues here at Samba Live. We actually have two colleagues named Dave, so we just thought we'd poke a little fun at them. Maybe we should invite them to our webinar.
I know. And then you got it.
Yeah, obviously, well, because I'm a cat person, I think we always have some unexpected guest on our video screen when we're doing these meetings. And so from my standpoint, it would have been saying, "Ah, nice cat." If dogs are okay too. I like this one a lot. I spent about 12,592 seconds in the waiting room hoping if they forgot about me.
I like that one. And then, you most commonly viewed in 2020 your own face. Probably true.
We're spending a lot of time looking into a camera, aren't we? Those are all little funny points that we thought we'd just go through and have a little laugh. But really, it's a very significant issue today with the amount of time that everyone is spending in front of their screen, whether you do online education, virtual events, you're running a lot of meetings. You can all relate to probably some of that humor and some of these things that we are talking about here today. So perhaps you want to learn effective ways to engage and connect with our audience. You're new to this. I'm talking to a lot of people actually right now who are in the process of planning for 2021 and are interested in looking for something new. Maybe, I know I'm seeing this and I'm hearing this a lot from my clients, that our audience is more exhausted and distracted these days. Don't you think, Caitlin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another one I would say is that people might have their cameras off more than they have them on. So you have no idea who's really paying attention. I think I often see people's initials or their name on the screen more than I see their actual face.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. And the other one that comes to mind, when we were putting this together is, you're not meeting people. A lot of people aren't meeting important business goals or objectives because whatever you're meeting, your event, your sessions aren't generating the outcomes you need because people aren't either satisfied or engaged in the meetings. And that means there's a real quantifiable bottom line impact to this lack of engagement that we're talking about too. And we want to help you tackle all these things, or maybe there's even something different that we haven't talked about today. But we do all know that, audience engagement has cited to be the #1 challenge right now, and no matter what digital experience that you're running. We happened to find this quote when we were pulling together the webinar, that 2/3 of those hosting digital experiences are finding this to be their problem. And they cited many reasons. It could be too many distractions, lack of networking. Usually when we're having virtual events on the floor, people have breakout rooms and there's a lot of physical contact. We have to adapt that for virtual. Content adaptation also might be an issue. People haven't learned now how to take their content and actually convert it to be better displayed and communicated in their virtual event. And possibly they're not finding ways, or they're not allowing enough interaction in their sessions. And so these are things that are real challenges for people right now. And yet 49%, probably more, of marketers say that audience engagement is actually the biggest contributing factor to having a successful event. So we have a real quandary here, because we need that customer engagement, but it's also our biggest challenge right now. So how are we doing that? And that's why we wanted to have this as our first webinar topic today, because we feel that it's a huge issue and we want to help you with it.
Absolutely. Thank you. So moving along, before we get into the real meat of our presentation, we wanted to start off with a little bit of housekeeping. I like our little mop and bucket we have going.
Yeah.
But so if anyone has any questions for us throughout the duration of the webinar, I'm going to pop open our Q&A feature over on the left-hand side. It should have just appeared to the left-hand side of your screen. And in order to do that, I use what's called our forced layout mode here on Samba Live. It's a really powerful tool that I think really distinguishes us from other companies. You're really able to move any feature kind of anywhere on the screen. I could move Marianne and I around. You can kind of customize your layout any way you want. And I just think it's awesome because your participants are not able to mess with this at all. And yeah, it just really forces them to pay attention to the content you want them to be looking at. So
yeah, I agree, Caitlin. I think this is one of our strongest features. Being able to, when we're talking about this whole idea of increasing audience engagement, having the ability to be able to customize how your content is communicated can be such a powerful tool. And so I'm glad that you were able to go through that quickly with us today. That's awesome.
And also, we're going to have a separate Q&A session at the very end of the webinar. So if we don't get to your questions in the middle of it, don't worry, we'll answer them at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. We encourage questions. Feel free to post them there during our webinar. We'd love to get them. So here's what we wanted to introduce you today. We are going to be talking about 3 simple but effective steps that through our work at Digital Samba, we've realized there are really 3 things that we can do on a regular basis that are going to improve the success of whatever type of virtual experience that you're involved in. And the first one is planning and preparing. I think that's one of the most important.
Absolutely. The second being proper meeting etiquette. So we are going to remind you all to mind your manners.
And then once we've got step 1 and 2, the heart of it is really giving you some tips and tricks to regularly employ into your meetings that we are sure are going to help improve your audience engagement and success rates. And so we begin. I'm going to be covering off planning and preparation. This is one to me that I find is truly one of the most important things. I've been doing meetings for too many years, more than I'd like to remember sometimes. And through my experience, I've found that really thorough preparation and planning is absolutely critical to the success of no matter what type of meeting or event you're hosting. And one of the challenges I think that we're facing today is that with the fact that we're doing so many meetings and we're jumping from meeting to meeting or an event, and we're doing so many things online, and it's so easy to do. You know, people today who are joining our webinar just click the link and here they are participating in our webinar. So you have the fact that it's really easy to get onto meetings and we're doing a whole lot of them. So I think what's gotten lost in that is that people are no longer spending the time and preparing as thoroughly as they need to. So I think that's really important. And the first part to, I think, effectively preparing is finding a system that's easy to use. I found 2020 forced a lot of people to adopt or find a video conferencing platform really quickly to make sure they could continue their business. And so I think now I'm finding a lot of people who are revisiting that and are really looking to find something that is going to be easy to use and meets the needs of their user base. And the number one thing we know that people want is an easy to use system.
That's awesome.
It's key. Yeah.
You got to be user friendly. If people can't figure it out really quickly, they probably won't stay on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second one, we have who, what, how long. So this was kind of our fun way to say meeting agenda. So really, even if it's just your weekly sales meeting, something like that, kind of giving people a short description of what the meeting is going to entail so that they can come mentally prepared, do their homework, things like that.
Absolutely. And what's great about Samba Live is that our invitation process allows you to include the agenda as you're setting up the meeting so that it makes it really easy to accomplish that. And if it's easy, we're going to do it. I was just going to note that we do have a question right now from Antonio in terms of webinar interaction. And Antonio, you are in luck today. One of the things we're going to be covering off shortly in our webinar are some ideas on increasing engagement. So we hope that will answer your question. Back to point 3 here, lights, camera, action. This is my code word for system check. We know that the #1 thing that causes dissatisfaction in any type of virtual experience is either bad connections or people on the meeting with poor audio visual. If people are dissatisfied during your virtual event, they're not going to be as engaged. It's just a natural reaction. So when I'm coaching people on how to set up meetings, I encourage people to, in their meeting invitation, of course, which you can customize, provide a link to your system check like we have here at Digital Samba. It's really helpful, and that way it can eliminate potential disasters at your event.
Yeah, that's really important to note. The next one we have is setting the stage. So that would be just making sure you have good lighting, you're not all, dark and shadowy. You have a simple or professional backdrop. I really do like Mary Ann's nice, simple, crisp backdrop behind her, whereas I have maybe a bit more of a busy one, but still kind of a professional office looking backdrop. I'm sure it's not too surprising for everyone to note that maybe you've seen a little more of people's homes this year than you would like. I've seen laundry and all sorts of stuff.
And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. In terms of the preparation, I think the important piece here is the more of this that you pull together to try and create the reality of the importance, and that you're committed to a professional meeting or event, it just helps set the stage for your audience as well. Yeah. And tying into that, of course, is point 5, which is being camera ready, top to bottom. I think, again, if you approach your meeting as if you were meeting in person and come prepared, the confidence and the mood and the attitude that you bring to the meeting or event that you're doing will transpose with your audience as well. So those are all, I think, really important points. Awesome. So those, there's other pieces that you may want to bring into your preparation process. These are just a few of them that we think are the most important. And we're going to now move on to effective meeting etiquette.
Yeah. Okay. So effective meeting etiquette. This is our step 2. We want to, as I said earlier, remind you of just some kind of general manners type items that maybe you were implementing them at the beginning of working from home, but things have kind of not happened as much, because I know it has been a long year. But the first one I would want to mention is arriving on time or early. So to me, this one's really important. I know we are not driving and fighting traffic, finding a parking spot, all of that stuff to get to our meetings nowadays. It might be a commute from your bedroom to your home office, wherever that is. But one of my biggest pet peeves is definitely people being chronically late all the time. So I really, really value punctuality, and think it's just really important to respect other people's time in that way.
Yeah, and by doing that, it goes back to the point I made on the previous step 1, where it's, if we approach the meeting as we would an in-person meeting and make the effort to respect the time of the event, it brings an extra layer of engagement to the meeting before you even get started. Right. The second thing that I like to recommend, I found really important, is to make sure that people, like we talked about today, to close all of your irrelevant tabs and browsers at the beginning of the session. I mean, it helps your system run more effectively, not to have multiple things going, but it also makes sure that you don't have multiple things going while you're on the meeting, which ties into, I think, what you're going to talk about next.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the next one would be kind of along those lines, eliminating distractions. Here is the biggest distraction probably when you are in a virtual meeting. So I pretty much always have my phone on do not disturb. Airplane mode is also great, but another tip that I like to utilize is actually keeping it out of sight. I usually put it right behind my computer so that I'm not even tempted to respond to any pings I might get.
Yeah, I do the same. Mine charges next to my laptop here, and I just turn it around so that I don't get distracted. It's human nature, to want to be engaged everywhere, multitasking all the time, but it's really important to counsel your audience when you are hosting some kind of virtual experience to encourage them to be focused on you and not the other things going on around them. Another thing that we like to recommend is one speaker at a time. I mean, sometimes we've all got a lot of things that we want to say, but in order to have people focus and engaged on your content or the content of someone else that you have at your meeting, it's really important to set that parameter up front. And a really easy way to manage it during the course of your meeting is just even a simple hand raise to let people know that you have something that you want to add to the discussion, or use the features that you have with your video conferencing software, your chat box, your Q&A, you know, those are also great ways to let people know.
Right. I love the hand raise feature. I think it's like one of the best ones.
It's easy, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And along with that, I would say another important tip is to remember to keep your microphones off when it is not your turn to speak.
Yeah.
I know that during so many of my meetings this year, I've been trying to pay attention to whoever's speaking, but someone didn't turn their microphone off, and they might not think I can hear the siren going by or their dog barking in another room, but you'd be surprised how much background noise you can hear. So I think it's proper etiquette to turn your microphone off when you're not speaking.
So true. Yeah, in Hawaii, it would probably be someone's rooster crowing outside your window. But it's so true. Any of those distractions that your audience might end up hearing if those microphones aren't off detracts from your meeting, which is why it's so important. Yeah. And the final one is that we want to bring up here is limiting side conversations. I mean, we all want to encourage collaboration when you're having your online experience, but at the same time, you want to be able to manage it to make sure that your content or your message is getting clear and allowing that collaboration. One tool we have at Digital Samba that helps with that is our private chat feature. So as the meeting host or moderator, you are able to enable or disable private chats during the course of your event so that you can manage when people are able to collaborate on the side and when they're not. So these are just 6 things that we thought of around meeting etiquette. I think the main thing for the success of these is just to communicate them with your audience in advance of your events or meetings. And that way everyone is on the same page and comes to your meeting prepared and engaged. And the other thing that comes to mind is just step 1 and step 2. A lot of these points may seem very simple. They may seem like things that, well, I think I'm doing these already. These aren't new. But I would challenge you to look at all of them and really ask yourself, am I doing all these things and am I doing them all regularly? Because I guarantee if you are, that you're already setting the stage to increase the engagement factors of no matter what event you're doing. And I think the reality is, as I said at the beginning, we're all doing so many of these that we probably have lost sight of 1 or 2. You know, so we just challenge you to take a look, because practice consistently, it's really going to up your game.
Yeah. Back to basics.
Exactly. It's so important. So the third step that we have is really, we're getting into the heart of it, and addresses Antonia's question, I hope, as well. We wanted to actually go through some practical tips now that you know how to plan really well for your events. You have a sense of what etiquette to set to make sure you're setting the stage to have your audience engaged with you. And then, okay, how do we, during our sessions, actually add some engagement to it? So hopefully you will get something new from when we go through these. The first one, I wanted to make sure it's not so much using a tool of your software, but it's just a tip at the start of every meeting. Ask your participants to keep their cameras on as much as possible. We all know that it's, Caitlin mentioned it earlier, that it's a symptom we're probably seeing is more cameras off than on. And it's not rocket science to see that if your audience is not got their camera on, they're probably not engaged in what you're talking about. So just a simple, open up the meeting, ask for cameras on. It's really easy. And it makes sure that people are going to be focused on what you're talking about.
Yeah, totally agree with that one. The second one I wanted to mention is starting off with a little bit of chit chat, maybe doing intros if the group doesn't know each other well before you get started. But even just something simple, checking in to see how everyone's weekend was, what their plans are for the night, things like that, just to kind of keep that team culture alive while we're all separated, working from home right now.
Yeah, and that's so true, Caitlin. The reason it's so important to start off, whatever you're doing with some kind of discussion is just it forces people to be engaged in whatever event you're doing right from the start. So to your point, if the group knows each other, just have a question, foster that social interaction. But if it's a new group, you can do introductions. It's so powerful just to have that, and it forces people to be in with you right away. Another way to create engagement is to make sure that you're using natural breaks, and you have a lot of tools with your video conferencing software to do this. So one of the things that I recommend, and just say using the example of you're having a team meeting and we're in the process of planning our upcoming webinar. Hey team, great thing. I came across this article the other day. It just ties into what we were talking about. Let me grab that for you. And I would go to my content library, which is on my left-hand side. And as easy as 2 clicks of a button, I am going to be able to share my screen with you. And here I'm going. I'm always choosing to share my tab. So here we go. Quick as that. Here we are.
Awesome.
Perfect. All done. Great blog post from Digital Samba.
Okay.
So it could be screen share. It can be anything. It's so easy to have with a click of the button. Just have your content there, isn't it?
Yeah, awesome. Okay, let me pull back up our slide deck real fast, if you don't mind closing that out.
I don't. I'm going to.
Cool.
There we go.
You still have it pulled up?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming down there, but that's okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. My mouse wasn't working there for a sec.
No, you're fine. Okay, so next we would say using your content to encourage discussion. So yeah, you want to take that one, Marianne?
Sure, yeah. So along the lines of what I was just talking about, besides sharing your screen, one of the things that you can do is use your content library to house all the different material that you might want to have in a certain session. So I can have it organized in files. I can have it organized by subject matter. It's going to be here every time I want to, possibly share something. So in my example of working with our team, we're putting together our webinar. I wanted to make sure that everyone saw this recent publication I came across which is how to run successful webinars. There's some great tips in here. And while I work with my team, I would say, Caitlin, do you want to circle that point that you found really interesting on the cover with your whiteboard tools?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And this is kind of artificial in this environment, but it's a way to show how you can just, maybe we're talking at a meeting and then you want to break up the subject matter. Wow, let's just go and interact and have a bit of a collaboration session using our content library.
Cool. Okay, let me pull it back up real fast.
And with your content library, just while we're talking about it, you can have everything from PDFs to files to pictures. I mean, it really you're going to have so many tools at your fingertips to, work and collaborate with your audience. It's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Tip number 5 would be to hold a brainstorming session. So the way I'm going to explain this is by using breakout rooms. So breakout rooms have probably been one of our top most highly requested features of 2020. It seems that since the pandemic, everyone really wants to meet up and then split their event or their classroom into smaller groups. So here on Samba Live, you are able to create, as of now, up to 40 different breakout rooms. You can name them, and then it's super simple with the click of a button to start or stop the breakout, or to broadcast a message to all the rooms saying something like 5 minutes left, guys, something like that. So I just think this can be great to kind of keep people engaged and allow them to jump into smaller groups, have a conversation, get the creative juices flowing with some brainstorming, and then hop back into the main session to kind of go over what they might have learned or come up with. Yeah,
I mean, it's such a way to, especially if you have maybe a situation where there's someone doing a lot of speaking in a session and you want, it's natural that people are going to maybe lose focus a little bit. So by using the breakout room feature and having brainstorming sessions, it really allows people to refocus and re-engage and get their minds active again. If their minds are active, they're going to be engaged in your content. A little fun one is, using doodle art to break the ice. I mean, icebreakers are such a great tool, and there's tons that you can use. You could use polls, you can use chats, you could play games, but I picked doodle art because I'm such an artist. Everyone can see on the right-hand side here, that little house is probably about as well as I can draw. So if I was actually doing the doodle art game, I would probably lose. But it's just, it's a fun way to bring, depending on your meeting or event environment, this might not always be appropriate, but it's definitely a little fun one to do. The whiteboard features are so powerful in terms of collaboration opportunities, and doodle art's just a fun way to do that.
Exactly. And I can just hit that trash can right there to do away with my not so great artwork.
I think I feel like I should frame that doodle art there. It's my personal favorite. I know it. I have other strengths. So a few more tips that we wanted to share with you. I think, Caitlin, you wanted to talk a bit about this one.
Yeah. So tip number 7, give your attendees jobs. So again, even if it is just a weekly meeting with your regular old team, giving your attendees jobs each week can be a great way to keep them engaged, such as who's going to be the note taker or minute taker.
Great idea.
Who is going to click through the PowerPoint presentation or organize the breakout rooms. I know I have found with many of my clients who are doing large events, they have come to find out that since you do need to move people into breakout rooms manually or have the computer split them up, that it is nice to have someone who's kind of overseeing all that and in charge. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I did want to point out as well that we are working on for our next biggest release in the early new year that we are going to have predefined breakout rooms where you can go ahead and split people up into different rooms before they even join the session. So be on the lookout for that. Great. We're excited for that.
Yeah, great reminder on that. I love your one about the jobs, because if people have something that they are responsible for, there's no way they can disengage. And one tip that I found works really well too is even do it, impromptu, by surprise, so that people, may have drifted off a little bit are forced back into engaging with what you're doing. But it's a great way to keep them accountable into your meeting. Definitely making space for conversation and feedback. What do you think about that one, Caitlin?
Yeah, absolutely. So utilizing maybe the chat box, the Q&A box like we have over here. And then instead of one person speaking the entire time, maybe asking them just for feedback on how the meeting or the event is going. What did you like the best? What can we improve? What can we change? So I think things like that could be a game changer.
Yeah, and your video conferencing software gives you all the tools you need to do that. So whether or not you want to use your Q&A feature like we're using right now through the session, your conversation chat box, your all the tools are there for you. The shared notes feature that we have, we're not using that today, but also can be a great way to enable that. Another thing that can break up a meeting, so say, for example, another situation where someone's doing a webinar perhaps, and they've been talking for quite a while. Maybe a good way to break it up a little bit is, why not use the power of video? So in your content library, you are able to actually share video on the spot. So I happen to have a video preloaded into my content library, which I'm just going to double click on here.
Awesome. Who's that?
This is actually the owner of our company, Robert. I'm not sure if he's here today, but a little demonstration from Robert.
Yeah.
But that's just a quick way to show you how easy it was. And can you imagine a situation where you're working with in either classroom environment, or as I said, in a webinar? You have so many different ways to bring different media into your event that can be so powerful to get your audience back engaged with you.
Yeah, I love that one. Video is so important.
Yeah, everything now that you read, video is such a powerful tool, whether you use it in your sales process, whether you're doing events, it's huge.
Yeah. Okay. And the last little tip we have here for you all is to head to the polls, just like we did at the
Yes,
beginning of this webinar.
right. At the beginning of our webinar, but is it time for another poll, Caitlin?
I think it is. So I'm
I
going to
think it
pull
is
up
too.
one more poll. We practice what we preach here at Samba Live. So I'm going to kind of break this up by doing one more poll for us. So very important question today. We would love.
Are you enjoying this webinar?
Oh, we got one. Oh, we got 3.
Yay.
4. Okay.
Wow. Woohoo. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, awesome.
We're having a good time too. We're having a great time.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna.
as you can see with polling, we have been using polling a few times, but when you survey marketers out there too, over 70% of marketers and people that are running online experiences say that polling is their #1 tool for actually keeping their audiences engaged. And it makes sense because you're asking a question, people are forced to respond with an answer right away. And actually, it allows you as a meeting host to actually learn things from your audience. It allows you to get feedback. It's such a powerful tool either way. So heading to the polls is always a good idea.
Yeah, love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So those are a bunch of tips that we use quite often and recommend to our clients. And when I look at this slide, I feel like I want to do another poll just to ask how many people on the webinar today actually will admit to playing music on one of these mixtapes. Are you old enough to be able to relate to that? But I won't ask that question. But the point of this slide is really to bring home all what we've talked about over the last, for step 3. Everything has an underlying theme. Everything is about changing it up, mixing it up. Are you mixing up your speakers? Are you mixing up the type of media you're using? Are you using video? Are you using your content library? We didn't go through it, but you can share a web app. So did you collaborate with your team using a web app? These are all things that in your preparation process you can plan for, you can build into your content library. They're just great, great, great tips.
Yeah. Keeps it fun.
Keeps it fun. Yeah. And I will admit that I have played music on a mixtape in my life.
Okay. Wow. You made it.
Woohoo, woohoo.
Congratulations, everybody. You made it to the end of the webinar. So it is now question time. So I see it looks like we did answer Antonio's question going through all of our features we had for all video conferencing software, or some of them, but all the ones we have here at Samba. As other questions to roll in, I was going to kind of go through and answer one of our most frequently asked questions. Is that okay, Marianne?
Yeah, that was great. And I would just encourage Antonio or anyone else on the line, put your question in there. Antonio, if there's something else that you wanted us to cover on that one, let us know. I mean, we only covered a small number of all the different interactive tools that you can use in your meetings to increase that engagement, but we're happy to go through others as well. So Caitlin, why don't you start it off with some of the ones that we get quite often? Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, one of the top ones I wrote down had to do with our breakout rooms. I get asked about our breakout rooms all the time. They seem to be super important this year. So just wanted to kind of reiterate, you can create up to 40 different breakout rooms right now in Samba Live. You're able to, once people join the session, split them up into different rooms as a speaker or host. And then, yeah, just with one click of a button, you can start the breakout. It'll refresh everyone's screen, bring them to their breakout room where they would have permission to broadcast. So turn on their camera and microphone. So, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Another one that I get quite a bit, and I actually think is really important towards creating audience engagement, is all the customization functionality that we have here at Samba Live. So I often get asked about that, and we can customize everything from your colors, your logos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are happy to go through a demonstration for people to demonstrate that after the webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Marianne, I'm not sure I heard you mention, but one of my I like that you can kind of change everything on the screen from Samba Live into your brand, including you may see, or it might be hidden because it's a white presentation, but there's a white watermark that says Samba Live. You can even change that to say your logo, brand name. So
Yeah.
you can customize the
Yeah,
color on the toolbar on the left. So yeah.
Yeah, it's important for audience engagement, because what it ends up doing is it creates a whole, look and feel that captures your audience and reflects what you're about. And so by being able to customize that and have it, reflect who you are and what you're about, it really, subtly behind the scenes creates that feeling and captures people into your environment that you want them to feel, whatever your business is. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary, I
Mhm.
I don't see it here in the question box, but before we began the webinar, I did get a question from one of our someone who signed up, and they were kind of
Great.
asking about Samba Live's live stream capabilities. Would you be able
Oh,
to speak
great.
to that?
Yeah, I mean, we are really excited that we can offer live streaming to either Facebook or YouTube. It's as simple as just, you have a live stream key. We have really great instructions on our Samba Live University page, which is you can find if you go to the bottom half of our website. We've got a little link to it. It's got a bunch of little tutorials all about Samba Live and how to use our different features. And there's a great little tutorial on how to live stream it, but it's really easy to set up.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people who are, either developing apps where they want to live stream, or they're doing events where they want to live stream. And we're really happy that we are able to offer it now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions, any FAQs, or did anybody else ask you any questions?
No, that actually, the one about the breakout room, also had in advance, so that's great. I think, the reality is we've probably done such a good job today in covering off everyone's questions that there's nothing left to ask.
Yeah, we just did that good of a job.
Well, there's always going to be an opportunity to have questions asked at a later time, so no worries there if something comes to mind after the fact. But
Yeah.
you have now made it through our session. Looks like we do have another question from Antonio. Is it possible to create discussion or working groups within the meeting room? Obviously, Caitlin, I think breakout rooms, is that what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I would say the breakout rooms, which I discussed, if people want to split up into smaller, more collaborative groups, then they're able to kind of all be able to see and hear each other and have that more intimate space to talk. But then other than that, in the main room, I would say using the chat box, the Q&A box, which you used over here, Antonio, would be the best places for that.
Yeah, breakout rooms is, I think, probably the best one. And Antonio, they're so easy to set up. It's a matter of clicking a button, creating a breakout room, and assigning people like that. And as Caitlin said, everyone has full permissions in the breakout room. So when your participants go there, they can really, truly have a really interactive and open discussion. And brainstorming, it works so well.
It sure does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're still here. Questions, if you end up having questions, but in the meantime, I will wanted to let people know that because we have gotten close to the end of our session, that we did have another gift that we wanted to provide to you for spending your time with us today. And we are now able to offer 10% off a Samba Live plan up until the end of 2020. So if you actually need a bit more time to look at Samba Live, perhaps you want to book a demonstration with one of us to learn a little bit more about how it can work for you, 10% off for your lifetime of a plan if you sign up before the end of 2020. And Caitlin is going to put the coupon code in the chat box, but we will also be sending it to you with an email in the next 24 hours after our session. So we just, a little thank you for spending your time with us today.
Yeah, awesome.
And that brings us to the most important part. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh no, we want to say thanks so much for everyone, whether I'm gracias, Danka. Thank you from wherever you're coming from today. We know we had some people from Europe. Just thank you so much. We did want to do a quick couple other announcements. So this was our first webinar. We are going to actually be doing an ongoing series of webinars. Myself, or might be Caitlin. We actually have one coming up next week from one of our other colleagues, David Gauthier. He is joining up and going to be doing something on how video conferencing can really be important in building and promoting a team culture. And I think that's going to be great. It's going to be Tuesday, December 15th at 2 p.m. And you should be seeing a notification about that probably through emails and on our website and social media. So if you're interested, we encourage you to sign up and stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Just
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, in the world of remote work. So that'll be awesome to hear from him on that.
Yeah, it's a great example here at Digital Samba that we've been able to do that. I mean, we have Hawaii, you're in New Orleans, we have Mexico, Honduras, we have people in Europe. It's truly a global world, and having that remote team culture is very possible.
Yeah,
with video conferencing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's everything.
I think it is. I want to final thank you for everyone's time today. We hope you got a lot of information, maybe had a little fun, and there's one or two things that you are going to be able to take away and start using in your day-to-day.
Yeah. I also want to just say one more time, thank you so much for joining us. As a reminder, we will be emailing out that last coupon code and a recording of this webinar. So feel free to pass it along. I think it's also going up on YouTube, right, Marianne?
It is. You'll be able to, we actually have a selection of tutorials. One of the quick videos that I showed you with Robert as well. So just look up Samba Live and you will find us there. And as we are creating more of our webinars, they will end up being there as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So stay tuned. Woo!
Yeah. Thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to end the recording.